You know what I find really funny about this internet wrestling community? You could be as polite as possible and say something slightly critical about AEW, Impact, New Japan Pro Wrestling, or even Stardom, and there will be someone either replying to you or someone in your DMs saying stuff like, "You were just a WWE fanboy. You obviously only like WWE. If you don't like it, stop watching." Like, please, respectfully, shut up. And in contrast to that, if you say something critical about the WWE, guess what?
We do not care.
You know why? It's because WWE fans already know that the company can be hot ass from time to time. We've been in the trenches for years hating on the WWE. The company has a serious love-hate relationship with its fans, and most of us don't start spitting venom when it comes to criticism about the company. Of course, you're gonna have your extreme fans that get worked up, but we normal people, we don't really care that much. I've been pretty critical about AEW on my channel, and with good reason because I don't like the current product that much. That's just my opinion. 3 years have gone by and Tony Khan hasn't changed that, but do not think that the WWE is safe around here. As you all should know by now, and I don't know how you wouldn't, Vince McMahon stepped down as chairman and we've been living in the Triple H Stephanie McMahon era. The majority of not only WWE fans, but wrestling fans in general were very excited about the new regime taking over. Vince's old, dry, out-of-touch ass pushed away a big chunk of the WWE fan base, and I had thought that we were in for some kind of wrestling renaissance in the WWE. And after seeing how it's been since he took over, it's clear to me now that it's not going to be that simple. Which now brings us to the question, has the WWE gotten better now that Triple H is in charge? My answer is yes, but also no. Let me explain. Okay, we all know that Triple H is the GOAT for giving us those great years of NXT. For a while now, wrestling fans, me included, were pretty much begging for Triple H to become head of creative on the main roster. His resume speaks for itself. He turned that crappy NXT game show into a wrestling program that was levels above Raw and SmackDown for years. The NXT system gave us developed stars from scratch, gave popular indie stars an identity, and gave us a bunch of classic matches that the fans still talk about to this day. And once certain talent were deemed main roster ready, they were called up by Vince. The majority of the roster that we see today came from that NXT system. Unfortunately, Vince, for some reason, didn't really see what Triple H saw in a lot of them, and they never truly got the chance to shine. Some were unfairly released, some were given terrible gimmicks, and others just simply left because they didn't want to put their career in the hands of Vince. Triple H has been actively bringing back some of those talent, which on the surface level is great, but I can't be the only one that feels that some of these returns have been a little underwhelming. Part of it, I think, is due to the fact that nothing is truly a secret anymore in the wrestling business. These insiders have been spoiling the returns before they even happen. And the other part, which is more concerning, could just be the fact that a lot of fans forgot about those certain talent and the pop they were given when they came out was And I've also been seeing a lot of people make the argument that WWE is doing the same thing that AEW had been doing with debuts, and that I disagree with heavily. I think that argument is pretty ridiculous. But I will say this, after a while, it's what WWE does with those returns that's actually gonna matter. That's where I think AEW has a problem, because they debut every ex-WWE star, and what do? We get the ex-WWE promo, they're popular for a few weeks, and then they disappear from TV, or they're in some stupid program on Dark. The WWE needs to make their returning stars matter for the long term. The company has a serious roster problem. Minus the main event picture, the mid and lower card programs just aren't that interesting. And that problem falls on the booking. In the past, we've all been very critical about Vince's booking, and Triple H isn't exempt from that either. I'm glad that all these names are returning and that others are going through gimmick rehab, but for some reason the storylines just suck. And the biggest example right now is the Dexter Lumis, Miz, Johnny Gargano nonsense. If you're a fan of that, by all means, I'm not here to change your mind, but the booking with this feels very Vince-like. The Lumis and Miz stuff was interesting at the start, but now it's turned into an overly childish angle every single week. I know it's going to take some time before we start seeing some real changes, but the Triple H era isn't hitting as much as it should right now. The bad booking in general is all over the shows. That and the cheesy, forced comedy is holding the product back in my opinion. The engagement from the live crowds pretty much says it all. And it's crazy because we'll see shows like Crown Jewel and Clash at the Castle where the crowd is hot, and then the next night on Raw, the fans are sitting on their ass the whole time. I've said this about AEW, and the WWE kind of fits in this category now. The product needs a new identity. The overall presentation needs a software update. I think that's the biggest problem that the new regime needs to tackle first. Sure, the match quality has gotten better and the product seems more relaxed, but for the most part, it still feels like Vince is booking these damn shows. I just want the WWE to feel like a wrestling program. All we fans ask for are just interesting stories that aren't childish, compelling matches, and characters to get invested in. If they just give us those simple things, the WWE would be chef's kiss. So yeah, I don't think that Triple H taking over creative has been all that great so far. It's definitely been a breath of fresh air though. I think the best comparison for this would have to be that the WWE is kind of like a struggling NFL team. It's in a very slow rebuild mode, and I don't think we're going to see any major changes for another year or so. There's going to be a lot of growing pains. But with all that being said, there are still a handful of interesting things going on with the WWE right now. Of course, you got the Bloodline for obvious reasons, my dog. Plus, the fact that War Games is even on the main roster is pretty cool. We all know damn well that wouldn't happen if Vince was around. That, or the show probably would have been trash, let's be honest. And them getting rid of the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view? Thank God. The concept of the Hell in a Cell match was 1,000 times better when it was for the end of a big feud. Also, if they could get rid of the red cage, my eyes would be very grateful. And of course, I can't forget about the revamp of my boy Austin Theory. I was a little annoyed with the WWE having him lose the Money in the Bank briefcase. But now, it all makes sense. Triple H wants Austin Theory to be serious and built up the right way. And if that's the case, that I can get behind. The guy was a dog in Evolve. The whole selfie, daddy's boy stuff wasn't really working for me. If Triple H's plan is to slowly change the fans' perception of the product, then I am all for it. But if it's gonna be the same old Vince-like show that we've all been sick of, that is where there's gonna be a problem. But yeah, since Triple H has taken over creative, the product hasn't been that great, but it's also a step up from where it was. And there still is a lot of optimism for the future. Of course, I am but a simple wrestling fan with a microphone. This is all just my opinion. I want to know what you guys think. Do you think that the WWE under Triple H has gotten better? Or do you think it's gotten worse? Let me know.